Happy New Year. Feliz Año Nuevo. Praise the Lord for 2021. 2020 was quite the year for many people. For a lot of people, I'm gonna say it's affected me, it's affected everyone. But God is good, and I know that, praise God that we made it through. Sorry for the video being shaky. My setup is very interesting. The struggle's real, but God is greater. But yeah, so praise the Lord, and this will be my second video on my channel, and by the title of this video, you're probably going to see this is a very big topic, and the main reason why I'm making this video is because I want this video to be a blessing and an encouragement to anybody who's going through this right now, in this moment, and also for those who have not gone through this, just to see the glory of God and how God moves when you have faith and when you trust in Him, when you lay fear aside, when you lay your own understanding aside, and you just let God do exactly what He wants to do. So I'm just going to give you a brief background on me. And hi, my name is Myra, for those new watching. My background is I am born and raised in Massachusetts, and I have recently moved, and not really recently, but it's been 3 years since I've been here in the state of Rhode Island that I moved with my family originally. I am now living on my own here in the state of Rhode Island, and that is by the grace and mercy of God, and you're soon gonna find out why. So I'm basically going to go over my testimony on how God told me to leave my home, and I give honor and glory to this day that I obeyed His word, and I decided to listen to Him and not listen to my fears, but listen to His voice. So my background and how I grew up, unfortunately, I had a lot of verbal, mental, and emotional abuse in my childhood, all the way to my teens, and of course now as I was a young adult, from my parents. It was kind of a hard upbringing, and of course I was born and raised as a Christian, a follower of Christ, and I'm very grateful for that. But I know every Christian home is not perfect. There's always something that happens, but it always happens to make us stronger, and God will use it for His glory. I know in the moment sometimes we don't see it, but in the end we will. Everything happens for a reason. So again, abused verbally from my parents, a lot of that type of abuse, verbal abuse. So when the Lord started sort of showing me that He wanted me to leave my home was, I'm gonna say, probably 2 years prior from moving to this state. He started sort of like foreshadowing it through friends, through specific preachings, through situations in my life, but I was very in denial, and I kind of didn't want to listen. It was the fear and kind of just being so conformed and accepting of my current situation and state. Of course, I wanted to be obedient to my parents, but I knew that I also wanted to be obedient to God, but I felt like the fear was kind of pushing me towards not listening to the Lord, and then just being very submissive to my parents. Again, my parents were very controlling, and very manipulative, so they knew how to guilt, shame, and just keep me bound and chained up, even though I wanted to break free. So again, the Lord was using many people to tell me this, and I didn't realize that I was being verbally abused until, of course, I was going to my current church now, which I love. A lot of the brothers and sisters were telling me that, it's not really normal the way how your parents are treating you. They're not supposed to speak to you that way or say this or, just treat others that way too. And I didn't realize it. And I didn't even know. And, my eyes started to open, and, I realized, wow, I'm in a very terrible situation. And with that came like the realization of all the brokenness, all the hurt, that was inside of me, the anger, the bitterness, the resentment towards my parents and all. Like, there was a lot in here that was building throughout all of those years of verbal abuse. And thankfully, once I entered into that church, God started showing me that I wasn't okay here and that I needed healing in my heart, that my heart was not in a good state, and that it just needed to change. So of course, again, God continued to tell me that I had to leave my home and basically sacrifice leaving my parents to obey him so that he could do what he wanted to do in my life. The Lord kept pushing Genesis 12:1, which I'm going to put the verse here, just so for those who want to know what this verse says. When I'm telling you this verse appeared everywhere, it appeared everywhere. It appeared in Bible apps, YouTube video scrollings, preachings, in so many ways that when you just see the same thing everywhere and you're just like, what is going on? Is this a sign? Again, it was a sign, but I was so in denial. I was in so much fear that I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to obey, to be honest. I loved God, but again, the fear to my parents was greater than that. I was chained up. I wanted to break free, but again, fear. Big part. So as my situation began to get worse, God started to speak to me even more, in terms of course, having to let go of my family. And I, again, just didn't want to face it. There was a lot of moments during preachings where I knew God was speaking into my spirit. I knew that preaching was if the pastor was just talking to me face to face to do this. And I would cry, I would weep, because I'm like, Lord, this is scary. This is the unknown. And the unknown, as we all know, is very scary. The unknown is terrifying. It's like you're walking into a dark cave and you don't have a flashlight, so you don't know if you're gonna step on a bug or if there's something behind you and you can't see. And it's terrifying. And that's how I felt, because I didn't know what was gonna happen at all. We're so used to being in control of everything. We want to know everything, and when we don't know, of course we don't feel comfortable, and we just don't want to take that step of faith, that literally that step of faith and that trust in God. And truly, this is when your faith is tested, when God tells you to do something, but you have no idea what is going to happen. But you just have to trust God that everything is in His hands and that you're going to be okay. You have to have that faith, that hope. So there was one altar call that I will never forget. It was an altar call that we had a pastor come over that preached. It wasn't my pastor. My pastor didn't know about my situation, because I would sit down with my pastor, and I think it's really important to, be able to sit down with your pastor and talk about certain things, if you have that relationship with your pastor. And he knew what was going on, and even he would tell me, like, I think you should just leave your home, because he also saw the verbal abuse and what would happen. So he was even advising me, and I just didn't want to listen. So again, that altar call of that service, that's when everything changed. That's when I feel like the Lord was like, this is it. You either are gonna listen to me, or you are going to miss out on this blessing. And of course, the Lord wants what's best for all of us. The Lord is so merciful, gracious, amazing, and I'm so thankful that He continuously told me, and He just didn't give up. Because of course, us as humans, we tell somebody one thing, and then after a while we kind of get annoyed and tired, and we don't want to tell them anything anymore. So I was grateful that God didn't give up on me, even when I didn't want to listen to Him, even when I was just too afraid to listen to Him. So in this altar call, this pastor placed his hand over me as I was praying for the current situation that I was in, and how God was telling me to leave. And I was just praying for confirmation, because I don't like to do anything if God doesn't confirm it. So I was just praying for this confirmation, and then this pastor came over, laid his hands on my head, and he told me the Lord is opening the door for you, and He's going to open the door for you. You are going to walk through it, and the Lord is going to do amazing things through you. The Lord is going to work within you. Chains will be broken, like all these things. And I knew exactly what He was referring to. I knew what that open door meant. And again, that fear inside of me just didn't want to accept it. But it's like when you're struggling and you just finally give up. I couldn't deny it. I couldn't make up an excuse. Jesus has told me clear as day what He wanted me to do. That He was with me. That this was Him. And it wasn't just my mind. It wasn't just my flesh. It wasn't the enemy. But it was Him. And from that point, honestly, everything changed. I started applying for apartments. My hand would be shaking, like searching apartments in my state, like, okay, I'm gonna do this, Jesus, I trust you. So I applied for this apartment for like a showing, and this was before COVID. So, of course I went in, and I was told to just basically go view the apartments that they had. They had 2 apartments available. One was 34 and the other one was 8. So I took my sister with me, and we went up the stairs, and we went through apartment 34. And something told me, like, once I entered through the door, it was just me and her, to just pray. So I did exactly that. I went on my knees and I prayed. And I was like, Jesus, if this is your will, if this is the apartment that you have for me, if this is exactly where you want me to be, Lord, you will give me this apartment. It was a very simple prayer, but I had I prayed it with faith that, the Lord would do his will and he would place me exactly where he wanted me to be. And then after that prayer, people started coming in, so I went downstairs and I checked on apartment 8, but I didn't pray in apartment 8. I just kind of looked at it. So then I went home, and a couple weeks later, I got an email. Through those weeks, of course, I was praying. I was still looking for apartments. I was worried in the back of my mind, like, how am I going to afford an apartment in a state that I barely know? How am I going to fend for myself? How am I going to pay for rent, pay for bills? Like, how am I going to do this? Like, all these things popped into my head. Even though God had already told me that he was going to be with me and that he was going to open the doors. But of course, we're human. We are human. And these are things that come into mind all the time. So I, again, thinking all these things. But, I was like, okay, well, God is going to do exactly what he wants to do. So I got an email, and I remember I got it on a day that I had practice for choir practice. And I read the email, and it said, congratulations, you have been, accepted, for this apartment, for the listing above. Like the number listing above, and I was like looking at my phone because I got the email on my phone, like, oh my gosh, like I was so excited. But I couldn't show the excitement because my parents had no idea about any of this. I wanted to sit down with my parents, with my pastor, and talk to them about this. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but yeah. So I was super excited. I ran outside and I called my pastor, and I was like, because he knew that, I had told him that I was looking, and he knew that I was going to be leaving my home. And I asked him to help me pray about it too, because I thought it was very important to get confirmation. So I called him and I was like, Pastor, oh my goodness, I got accepted to this apartment that, you need good credit, and I don't have credit. Still don't have credit. Anyways, and out of everybody that came into the apartment, because there was, quite a few of people that came in, they chose me, and then, I told them I was super happy, and, I was super happy, and, I was like, oh my gosh, I got that apartment, and, he was like really happy and all that. And he told me basically like when I was gonna move in, and of course I had to think about how I was going to get all my stuff and move into the apartment without my parents knowing, because it's a complicated story with my parents. Anyways, so I hadn't like looked at the number or like the listing of what apartment I actually got. And then after I hung up with my pastor, I looked, and I was like, and it said like the listing on the top, like on the subject of the email, and it said apartment 34. And I was like, that's the apartment that I prayed. Thank you, Jesus. And it wasn't 8, it was 34. And I'm like, God, you are so faithful. I love the Lord. He works in amazing ways that I can't even, like, wow. So, of course, now that I got the apartment, now the fear started settling more because I was like, okay, Jesus, you told me to leave. You told me you would open the door. The door is open. I feel like I'm standing in front of the door, but my family's behind me, and I'm afraid to let go of them. I'm afraid to step into the unknown. I'm afraid because I have no idea what's gonna happen. I have no idea how I'm gonna afford this. I just don't know, Jesus. Am I like, but I have to do this. I love my family, but I love you more, Jesus. I know I must be obedient to my parents, but my obedience is first to you, Jesus. And this is what was going on in my head. And I was like, Lord, I love you so much that I have to obey you. Even if it means having to sacrifice my family, even if it means having to leave them, leaving what I know, you know? And that's where that Genesis 12:1 literally comes into play perfectly. And I'm going to place it on the screen again. So although the door was open right in front of me, that fear was still holding me and wanted to hold me so badly. But the Lord is so amazing. I know that God gave me the strength to be able to overcome the fear and face it, and like literally face the fear. And I'm not gonna tell you that it was easy. Trust me, I cried. I was trembling. Luckily, one of my friends helped me to move, and I had to tell my parents, and that was the hardest part of it all. We were driving there, and I felt like the whole world was just underwater. I felt like all I could hear was my heartbeat, and my tears were just rolling, and I was like, Lord, can I do this? Please give me the strength. I'm afraid to face my parents. I know they're not gonna believe me. They're not gonna believe that you told me that to leave my home. They're just gonna think I'm being rebellious. But Jesus, I need to be obedient. I made it to the house. My heart was beating out as I was like walking up those stairs. And I had to tell my parents with tears in my eyes that I'm leaving. And of course my parents blew up, but I'm so grateful that my friend was there. He was an amazing support. And I will forever be grateful for him. And I packed up the rest of my stuff because I was secretly moving things out of my apartment for that month. And I just collected pretty much the small belongings that I had left, and with tears in my eyes, and my heart felt like it was just ripped out. Whew, I said I wasn't gonna cry in this video. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry in this video, but just thinking back at that moment, I felt like my heart was just broken because I was leaving what I knew, but just trusting God and holding on, you know. And to this day, the Lord has been so faithful to me. I have always been able to pay my rent, and that's by the glory of God. For being obedient, the Lord has blessed me, and the Lord has not forsaken me. So for anybody who's going through this situation where God is telling you to do something really hard and you have no idea, and you're just afraid, and that fear, you know, it's gonna be okay. The Lord is never gonna leave you. He will be with you through the whole process, and you can trust and have faith that you will have the victory, that everything is gonna be okay. I didn't know at the time, but you know, looking back, I'm like, wow, you were with me the entire time. And just remember, be obedient to the voice of God. Listen to what Jesus tells you. and obey, and it's going to be worth it. The Lord will bless you. He will never leave you. He will always be there for you, and He will never forsake you, and He will stay faithful because you obeyed, because you stayed faithful. No matter how much it costs you, no matter the pain, and I know that after that I wasn't okay. I'm not gonna lie. Like, mentally, emotionally, at that time, I was not okay. I'm way better now because, of course, going through a healing process, and healing is a process. It's not one day to another, but the Lord is just so amazing. And I just wanted to share 3 verses. 2 Timothy, and it says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." I'm going to make sure to put the verse here on the video. And also Proverbs 3:5. And this is entailing for trust. The first one for 2 Timothy was entailing for fear. For Proverbs 3:5 for trust, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding." And then this one's for faith. Hebrews 11:1. "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." My brothers and sisters, and for those who are watching this video, trust in the Lord. Don't lean on your own understanding. The enemy only just wants to pull you back. The enemy doesn't want you to be at your full capacity, doesn't want you to walk through that open door, doesn't want you to have your blessing, but God does. So do not lean on your own understanding. Trust the Lord. Trust God that He is going to hold on to you, that He is going to give you the victory, and that you are not alone. Remember to always stay in prayer. Ask for confirmation. Don't listen to the other negative voices that people are going to be saying to you. Focus on the voice of God, and find those people who actually love the Lord and want what's best for you. I really hope this video was a blessing. It was a blessing to make, and I just wanted to share this testimony. I do apologize that this video was a little long, but I felt the Lord wanted me to just share this. So I hope that you guys have an amazing new year. May God bless you, and remember, the Lord has called you by